Alexander McQueen was born on March 17, 1969, in Lewisham, London. Alexander McQueen was an English fashion designer. He was born into a working-class family, and his parents supported him and his 5 siblings with their small incomes. He recognized his homosexuality at a young age and was teased extensively about it. McQueen first began working with theatrical costume designers Angels and Bermans. He then left London and went to Milan, where he worked as a design assistant to the Italian fashion designer Romeo Gigli. He then returned to London and enrolled at Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design and received his master's in fashion design in 1992.
I think that the other thing about him was that he was an intense character. Somebody asked me yesterday whether I thought he was a depressive tendency, and I said no. I think someone who is as intensely creative as that is often quite emotional.
McQueen came to the college as a slightly mature student anyway from the South Road background. He was like a fab student to teach because he was absolutely passionate about fashion.
The collection he produced as a culminating project of his degree was inspired by Jack the Ripper and was famously bought by the well-known London stylist Isabella Blow. They became friends and she became advocate of his work. Soon after obtaining his degree in Central St. Martin's, McQueen began his own business, designing clothes for women where he met enormous success with the introduction of his bumpster pants, so named because of their extremely low-cut waistline. 4 years out of design school, McQueen was named chief designer of Givenchy, a French haute couture fashion house. Even though it was a prestigious job, McQueen took it reluctantly. He was pushing the limits of what people expected from fashion. He felt like he was being held back. He stated that the job constrained his creativity. There was nothing he could do for the Givenchy fashion house. He states the only way that it could have worked would be if they had allowed him to change the whole concept of the fashion house and give it a new identity, but they would not let him do that. However, during his time at Givenchy, he won British Designer of the Year in 1996, 97, and 2001. In 2003, he was declared International Designer of the Year by the Council of Fashion Designers of America and a Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire by the Queen of England, and won yet another British Designer of the Year honor. In the year 2000, Gucci bought a 51% stake in Alexander McQueen's private company and provided the capital for him to be able to expand his company. In this time, McQueen left Givenchy, and he opened stores in New York, Milan, London, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles. With the help of Gucci, McQueen became extremely successful, as he was already known for the flair and passion of his shows. He produced even more interesting spectacles after leaving Givenchy. For example, a hologram of model Kate Moss floated at the showing of his 2006 Fall-Winter line. In his autumn-winter collection in 1995, McQueen presented Highland Rape. Many interpreted it as a misogynistic view of the violation of women, when in reality it was his opinion of England violating Scotland. In his collection number 13, he presented perhaps the most dramatic of all of his catwalks. He continued to show symbolism through a woman wearing a plain white skirt, being attacked by machines shooting paint. His staff says he wasn't about spending loads of money. He focused on the drama and its message. In 2007, Isabella Blow committed suicide. McQueen dedicated his 2008 spring-summer line to Blow and said that her death was the most valuable thing he learned in fashion. Two years later, on February 2nd of 2010, McQueen's mother died. One day before her funeral on February 11th, McQueen was found dead in his Mayfair, London apartment. The cause of his death was determined to be suicide. Alexander McQueen's rise from lower-class high school dropout to being an internationally famous designer is a remarkable story. His bold styles and fascinating shows fully inspired the world of fashion, and to date, his legacy continues to live on. Sarah Burton is the current creative director. She was his longtime co-designer tool over the still operating Alexander McQueen brand. McQueen's contribution to fashion was honored by a 2011 exhibition of his work and creations at the Met Museum in New York City. It features about 100 ensembles and 70 accessories from his archive in London. The exhibition shows his exaggeration of the 1800s along with his touch of innovation. The life of McQueen was the subject of the 2018 documentary McQueen by Ian Bonnot and Peter Etadgi.